Good morning. My name is Rupa Nampalli from Remax One. In today's episode, I will give tips on how to maximize your virtual meetings. This article was written by Joshua Zirkle for Thrive Global Magazine, who is a professional organizer and head of global community at Asana. The first tip is don't try to replicate in-person format. Virtual meetings are by definition remote and need to follow a format that is instinctive to the distance between each employee. For example, to help employees stay focused during the long virtual meetings, consider breaking into several smaller ones. Participants will be better prepared to consume the content virtually because it won't be jam-packed into a single lengthy session. Another way to make sure the format you implemented fits your colleague is by simply asking them after each meeting. Consider sending a quick feedback form. Ask what they thought worked and what you can improve. If you see that format, duration, topics, or speakers are not working, don't be afraid to adapt your meetings until your teammates find them useful. The second tip is advanced prep make all the difference. When you are in the chaos of the home in the middle of shelter in place, it is even more disorienting to have to join an impromptu meeting than if you had to do so at the office, where you are already in the work context. To help your team avoid confusion, do your best to book meetings in advance so people have time to prepare. Share any prep materials and resources like documents, agendas, and supporting contact well ahead of your scheduled meetings. That way, your colleagues will have time to review, absorb them, and be ready to discuss them when the meeting starts. It might seem obvious, but in addition to preparing your team, set yourself up for success by having any relevant files open and reviewed before a meeting starts. If you are the meeting host, have your written agenda upon a shared screen so that everyone can see it. Having your agenda visible makes on-camera meetings, which are already subject to more potential interruptions than traditional meetings, can go as smoothly as possible. You should also have a member of your team on deck to take notes so everyone else can focus on being present and contributing to the discussion. The third tip is stop organizing so many meetings. If your teams are tired, there's probably a good reason. Before organizing a meeting, ask yourself if it is really necessary or if you could use another form of communication such as Slack or email. When you feel like written words are not enough to express your idea, think about sharing visual resources like videos, screen recordings, or GIFs. Visuals add an extra layer of context to make your point and can help avoid organizing another meeting. And just like Elon Musk said for in-person meetings, if you are not adding value to a meeting, leave. Do the same for the virtual ones. Create a team norm that makes it okay to excuse oneself politely from the meetings where you feel you have nothing meaningful to contribute. If a meeting is necessary, reconsider asking people to put their cameras on or make appearing on video optional. Knowing that everybody is looking at you may add unnecessary pressure to look like your best self all the time. And even the most modest among us struggle with ignoring how they look in that little box during a video meeting, as we note facial expressions and often unflattering angles, taking us out of being present and useful in the meeting. Consider using Hide SelfView function available in most video conferencing tools, which stops you from seeing yourself but still lets everyone else see you. Nervous about how you look? Spoiler alert. In normal times at in-person meetings, you made exactly the same faces and nobody paid attention. The final tip is be ready for technical hiccups. Whether it's audio dropouts, cut-off heads, or the everyday screen sharing snafu, at this point, most of us have experienced every technical misfire that can happen at a virtual meeting. While technology has evolved dramatically, technology hiccups will happen. Organizational behavior expert Bob Sutton shared that meetings can last 25% longer because of these disruptions, so make sure you are prepared to handle them and showcase persistence, patience, and grace rather than embarrassment and blame. Encourage teammates to log in a minute before a meeting's scheduled start time to let them get situated in the virtual space and make sure everything is working on their end. Be okay with people turning off their videos if it's interfering with their bandwidth. Chances are, you know what your teammates look like, and not seeing them for one meeting will likely be okay. If your presentation is not working, see if you can send a view-only link, move to another part of the agenda that does not require visual aids, or ask one of your teammates to share their screen instead of yours. If you panic and begin complaining about technology, your colleagues might feel that you are unprepared and wasting their time. Before we all went remote, meetings were a channel for discussing work updates and big picture ideas, and they also allowed us to have human contact and to step away from our screens. Simply making a previous human touch points with our colleagues on video doesn't account for how different the nature of those interactions is when done on screen instead of in person. Just as we have discovered the need to modify how we do our work in this new era, we also need to rethink how we communicate effectively with each other and recognize that our old ways may no longer support the productivity, connection, and emotional support we need for ourselves and from our teammates. Thank you for listening to my video. Hopefully, these tips are helpful in making your future virtual meetings successful. Have a nice week.